Welcome to Design Speaks, the podcast that helps you use uncommon inspiration so you can overcome creative block and make better work. I'm your host, Brandy C. Joining me is my co-host, Julie Hyder, and this week we're going to be talking about how to level up your work by harnessing the power of feedback. Stay tuned for that coming up later in the show. Hi, Julie.
Hi, Brandy.
So, again, we didn't plan this. We kind of match again. We're both wearing black shirt, dressy kind of style blouses with a pattern or something on it.
I know. What the heck?
I don't know. I was subconsciously telling you, this is what you need to wear today. And look, man. Oh my gosh, we're even wearing, look at this.
Oh my gosh.
Our necklaces
the same
even
necklace,
match.
basically.
We're wearing those silver bar necklaces. Does yours say
mine's
something?
Gold, but yes, mine has the GPS coordinates for where Anthony and I got married.
Aw, that's so cute.
Yeah.
So mine says Ohana, which
fun.
means family. It's from Lilo and Stitch, which is one of Kenny's favorite movies. And I was I had a little someone gifted me a subscription to these boxes that come with a bunch of Disney things, and this came in it. And it's amazing. So
that's fun.
Yeah. So Julie.
Yes.
How many times have you heard designers or creatives ask for feedback like this? Which one of these logos do you like? Or what do you think about this photo?
All the time.
I can't stand it. I'm actually a part of a few graphic design, not support groups. They're just private groups on Facebook for graphic designers.
Yes. And that's where those questions get asked, because I was about to say the same thing. Those questions get asked in my photography groups. Even the logo question, somebody's working with a designer and then they're like, hey, my designer sent me these 4 logos. Which do you like better?
A, B, or C? Which one do you like better? A or B, 1 or 2? And I'm just
to a room full of strangers.
Yeah. If you don't know this by now, you know that stuff doesn't matter. People's preferences don't matter. So today we're going to talk how to give and receive the right kind of feedback so it actually helps you be better. So first of all, before we go into that, we're just going to have to make this a thing now, I guess. Where are you? What is going on in your background, and what have you been up to?
So my background is actually another photo that I took. This is the famous McWay Falls in Big Sur, California. Oh you can see a little waterfall over there, and then this is the ocean.
Except your finger just disappeared.
Yeah, you can kind of see behind me. And this was a long exposure, which I thought was kind of fun because it has the movement of the waves, and then obviously the waterfall is looking like a continuous stream and everything. So yeah, it's a cool iconic place. I just realized that the photo is actually flipped for some reason here. It's normally the other way.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Well, so it's not just a window view today. This is
no. Well, you couldn't see the
view.
waterfall if I did just the window, so I decided to go all in.
I love it. So much. Teal is becoming a trend for you.
It is. I do love that color. And then what I've been working on. So every year for the last 6 years, I think, for my husband's birthday, I make him a birthday cake, and it's a total surprise to him. And I always pick a theme and decorate to that theme.
Aww.
I am by no means a professional cake decorator, but it's just kind of a fun thing to do. And we've talked before about having creative outlets that have nothing to do with your work. And so that's just I'm not going to lie, it's kind of stressful sometimes. But it is fun to get creative and come up with a design and then bake it and decorate it and everything. So he just had his birthday, and so usually I work with fondant because his favorite kind of cake is a yellow cake with chocolate frosting. And it's really hard to like come up with cool designs that work with chocolate frosting on the
Yeah,
outside. So I pretty
yeah.
much always use fondant. But this year I wanted to do just like a vanilla buttercream. And for my birthday during quarantine, so had to get creative. He got me a bunch of oil paints and we painted along to Bob Ross.
Aw.
Yeah, and so that was really fun. So I thought like, oh, it'd be really cool if I could paint his cake. And so
Like edible paints, or just like, we're just not going to eat this fondant. We're going to tear it
no,
off and
like
not eat
edible
it.
cake.
Okay.
No. So
You're like,
I
just
did
watercolors on cake.
yeah, so I ended up doing a buttercream and then I mixed buttercream with different food colorings and kind of painted them on, but with like a lot of texture. I thought that would be more fun than just painting directly on there, but to give it like a dimension to it. So I did a Bob Ross painting on the cake.
No way. Okay. You're going to have to send me this picture so I can link it in our show notes.
Yeah.
I am like picturing just amazingness.
Yeah, it's fairly simple. Like usually I go more elaborate, but it was really, really fun to do. Like I'm not gonna lie, there were some hiccups and it was a little stressful with like getting the other cake stuff together. But once I started painting, it was so much fun.
So was this
and
a surprise, or were you like, stay out of the kitchen, I'm doing something special?
So he always, like at this point after 6 years, he always knows I'm gonna do a cake, but he has no idea like what the theme is gonna be. This year I told him it was gonna be completely different and he would like never guess. So he was like, is it just gonna be a plain cake?
That would have been a good twist.
Yeah. But that was a fun little thing that I did recently.
Oh, that's awesome. What a cool idea. Yeah, like 2 episodes ago, we talked a lot about cake, and now we're talking about cake again. And it's like lunchtime right now that we're recording. And
so
all I want is
think
cake.
like next episode, we need to be eating cake on the podcast, right? That's
Yes.
is where this is going.
Yeah, but what kind? I don't know. But I think maybe we need to have like a cake episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. Painted by Julie. Cakes by Julie. That's your new venture.
No, thank you.
Oh my goodness. That's amazing. I love it.
Well, yeah. So what have you actually been inspired by lately? Besides cake?
Besides cake. All the cake. So do you have Disney Plus?
I did for a free trial.
Yeah, we've determined that Julie is not a huge Disney fan. Okay. We'll just move on.
We just watched The Mandalorian. That was it.
It was worth
is
it
so
just for
good.
that. Yeah, it was worth
Yeah,
it.
it totally was.
So they've been releasing a lot of new stuff over quarantine and things like that. And Kaden and I usually watch a show like when we're eating lunch. And I guess not usually. Once in a while, we'll watch like a short documentary or something learning related. So we're not just like zombied out when we're watching TV in the middle of the day. So we were on Disney Plus, and usually we watch something that's like I don't know, Nat Geo or something, like finding bones and weird stuff like that. But they released a Frozen 2 documentary on Disney Plus. So it was like the making of, and I think it was like 8 episodes, like 8 30-minute episodes. And I was like, yeah, I like seeing behind the scenes. Like I love watching like bonus content on DVDs. So I was like, this should be fun. Like I really enjoyed Frozen 2 and the story was really great. So I was like, this should be fun. So when we were watching it, they were really like doing a really good job telling the story of Frozen 2. So it was a little bit meta, but in the process of it, they were showing how like for each like draft, they will go into like a theater and show like their peers like where they're at to that point. And then after they show them, like whether it's just like, obviously the first few steps are like not animated, it's just storyboards. Like it's really simple, but they're checking the story, right? They're just making sure that the story works before they move on to doing anything else. And they go into a room and they showed this sign on the door that's like the room where they're all going to go like meet and get feedback and talk. And it just said Story Trust. And this is what they called it. Like they called this like meeting of the minds, like the Story Trust, where they have to trust people with the story and talk about the story.
Yeah.
And I like paused the movie, rewound it a couple times because I wanted to catch the quote that one of them said. They basically said, "Everyone's here to help the film." And even though the feedback was hard, that everyone knows that's the goal, like to make this
Yeah.
better. So it was really inspiring to me because there's something about showing people your work and asking for feedback that's kind of terrifying.
Yes.
Because there's like, in honesty, if you are with the right people, like you're probably going to hear something that you aren't wanting to hear. And so there's the potential for their work to be like really ripped apart. But something else that the primary writer and director said was that people have to be open to a level where they are ready to be exposed and potentially torn apart for the purpose of improving it. So it was honestly like a timely reminder that I needed to keep my focus on working with groups of creatives. And that's like for my business. At the beginning of the year, as you know, I've been shifting into being more of like a creative coach and design strategist as like my niche. And I was kind of struggling with, well, I'm working, like it's a lot of energy to work one-on-one with people. But maybe that's like what I need to be doing. And watching this really inspired me that like, I felt like this really, like I actually cried talking about it with Kenny because I was like, I need to be working with groups. I need to be working with groups of people. I like to lead a team, which is what made me such like, I really enjoyed being a creative and art director because I got to lead a team of people.
Yeah.
So that really helped me shift over now into creating like a mastermind as opposed to one-on-one coaching. And I still do that, and I still will do that if it's like necessary or if someone really wants that one-on-one time. But it was eye-opening, and the feedback loop idea, it was like really an awesome push to remind me like what I need to be focused on. So that was really cool. So maybe you should just get Disney Plus so you can watch that.
That's the moral of the story, right?
The moral of the story is Julie needs more Disney in her life. So.
I mean, in October when The Mandalorian comes back, I'll get it.
It is October, Julie. It's October right now.
Ah, dang it.
So maybe you already have it. So, yeah. Also, there's some music that I wanted to tell you guys about. Always music. I've been listening to a song called Dark Days by Local Natives featuring Sylvan Esso. I chose this song this week because it is fall and it has a really great fall vibe. I actually love Local Natives and Sylvan Esso, so this song was kind of a gimme. It came up in one of my like Discover Weekly playlists on Spotify, but I also appreciate the sentiment of asking in the lyrics. It talks about asking why we're fighting if we don't know why. So whether that's fighting other people or fighting with ourselves, sometimes we just need to like take a step back and look at our motives and think about like, why are we fighting? Are we afraid of something? Are we worried about something? And really just kind of look at that. The song isn't actually dark. The song's called Dark Days, but it's a really sort of upbeat fall vibey song to listen to in front of a fire and when it's cold. So it's really great. I love everything about it, and you can find it on our Spotify playlist, Music from Design Speaks podcast, and I hope that you will. So yes, the song is great, and I don't have the lyrics memorized, and I forgot to bring my paper, so that's as good as people are going to get today. So, okay, Julie, now let's talk about feedback.
Yeah, I think this is a great topic. Slightly scary to all of us.
Yeah.
But I think there's a good way to do it and a not so great way.
Yeah, absolutely. So, when I was teaching junior and senior graphic design majors at our local art college at my alma mater. And there were multiple points in the year where they had to have like their work up to a certain point so that we could have feedback. And something that I really appreciated about how they did it there is, so at that school they have animators, fine artists, photographers, graphic designers, and illustrators. That's like their not a trifecta. It's a 5-fecta. I don't know what that would be. there's 5 things that people do there. So they would basically mix and match for the feedback
that's
stuff
so smart.
to get an outside look at it. And so it's actually similar to like what the Disney Story Trust thing was. They weren't all people from inside Disney or Pixar even. It was like a couple people from inside and then other directors and writers and producers outside of it. So the way that they did that there was like, okay, at this point you have to bring your work and get feedback on it.
Yeah.
Did you ever have to do that? Was that something that was offered like as a option, or was it just feedback from your instructor when you were going to school?
Well, first of all, I have to remember that far back.
It was a long time ago.
I think we did have like a little bit of feedback from people in the class, but it was all, I don't know. It wasn't well facilitated, so I wouldn't necessarily say it was super valuable, but I do love that idea of like looking outside of your industry. I think that's super important because, for one, just looking to someone else, they're going to have a different perspective and see things that you're too close to see. Mm-hmm. But to get someone's perspective in a different industry, like that, they're going to see things that just can't be seen in the industry. You know, like we've talked about before in a very different context, the curse of knowledge that Donald Miller talks about. And it's like you know everything, you see everything, and so you miss the stuff that's obvious sometimes, right? Because you're too close to it.
You're too close. Yeah. So when I was in college, I remember feedback, but it was always only with my class. So the chances are also that like I've been with this same group of people for however many years, and now we sort of like understand each other and like, oh, I already know how they work, so I know what they're doing here, and I'm not going to really say anything because I don't want to hurt their feelings. And then like,
I think that's a huge part too. Like, I'm an Enneagram 9, so I don't want to say anything to like, you know, to be like, you didn't do a good job with this thing or whatever, or like, I don't like that, you know, whatever. Right. Yeah, I don't want to like disturb the peace by doing that, especially with classmates where you're like, well, we have a whole other rest of the semester to go.
It's not like I can just like leave this and never see you again. So who cares what you think? It's like you get to know these people. Yeah. So just as like a precursor to the feedback is like making sure that you are getting feedback from a variety of sources if you can. Mm-hmm. If you can't, at least have people that would know what they're talking about. We talked a couple of episodes ago about like asking your kid to look at your hierarchy and stuff like that. But when you're really looking for like at a certain level, like feedback on messaging and communicating and stuff like that, you should be asking someone that would have some valuable insight to say. And that's kind of what we're getting at today, is leveling up by knowing how to give and receive feedback. And the biggest thing that I would say, you know, I guess not the biggest, I say that a lot. I guess it's more of a foundation of everything we've been talking about this season, is when you are showing someone work for feedback, tell them who it's for. Tell them who you are making it for, which obviously you need to know that first. You shouldn't be making anything if you don't know who it's for. And then the message, so the concept. So if you don't tell them anything else, what is the goal? I'm creating a new website for a interior designer who just started a new pillow line. And the concept is urban chic. And the audience is like a 60-year-old mother of 4 who really appreciates something interesting in different rooms of her house, and pillows are a good way to do that. I just looked at
that changes.
I just looked at the pillow over there.
So
I'm like,
much.
What idea can I come up with here?
Yeah, but that like changes the perspective so much, because if you just say, do you like this logo? Like, it might be good for one target market, but like really terrible for the other. Mm-hmm. Or, yeah, it just changes like the the narrative of like where the conversation is going to go.
Right.
Yeah. And I think also like ask, if you can, to ask someone who fits in that like target market would be incredibly valuable, because again, that goes to like they not only do they like fit that and have the right perspective, but also they don't know anything probably about what you do and how you can help them. So like, is the message coming across clearly?
Right.
Like, it might look nice, but like, are they getting the message that you need them to get in order for them to be interested in hiring you for whatever?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where the difference between just being a graphic designer and being a design strategist comes in, because you are no longer just designing for pretty, you are designing for purpose. And lots of people can make pretty things, but is that going to sell more pillows?
Yeah.
Probably not.
And also, like, can we talk about feedback on websites? Like, can people find the information they're needing to find? If you have a beautiful site, but it's not easy to navigate, and for someone who isn't you,
Yes.
if they can't like move around and find the cool stuff that you've put in there, and also like, does it have enough information?
Yeah, user
Because-
experience from a website to a magazine to,
Yeah.
when I get my Apple Watch and I'm trying to figure out how to open this stupid box, like all of that is understanding and receiving feedback, because you got to believe that every time Apple makes some new product, they are testing the heck out of that packaging to make sure that every little bit is, and that wasn't a hit on them. Every time I get something from them, I know exactly how I'm supposed to open this, like step by step. I understand what I'm supposed to be doing. And that is the same for this. So we talked about people saying like, oh, I like this or I don't like this, or asking those questions.
Yeah.
That is the number one thing that we always start out with when I'm teaching students how to give and get feedback is you're basically not allowed to even have any statements. They're called statements of preference. So you're not allowed to say, do you like this? Or I like this because, or even saying, well, this works because, which sounds funny because it's like, well, how can I know like if it works or not? Where that comes in is asking questions that are more open-ended.
Yeah.
And so for example, like a bad question would be, does this make you feel sad? I don't know. Does it make me feel sad? Should I be feeling sad? Now I'm looking for
you're,
things
like,
that might make me feel
leading them.
sad.
Yeah, you can't lead them into the answer, because then you may not be getting the truth from it.
Exactly. So a better way to phrase that same sort of idea of a question would be, how does this image make you feel? How does the dark area in the top right influence your experience? How might, when you look at this design, what is it inspiring you to do or believe? And so you're not even saying, would this ad make you want to buy this perfume? You're just saying, if you were to walk by this, what would this make you feel like you should do?
Yeah.
And so having those kinds of questions, how does the use of red, like how I used the color yellow here influencing your experience right now? And it gives you, as the person on the side of that created the design, the opportunity to really learn more about a broad experience with what you just created, as opposed to, do you like this? Yes. Uh-oh. Julie's being invaded on the beach.
Yes,
okay.
my wild dogs.
It's okay. No worries. So the thing about that is also like, I don't like it when people just say they like something I did. Or like when my child is showing me, this is something I actually learned in a parenting book a long time ago, that when your child is creating something, especially, and they show it to you, I have to remember this all the time. It's feedback. But like Caden will build something with Legos and he'll come show me, and if I'm being lazy parent, I'll be like, oh, hey, bud, that's awesome. Really cool. Go back to work.
Yeah.
That doesn't do anything for his self-esteem. That doesn't do anything for his like ideas of like how he can continue to be good at that or get better. So something that I learned in the parenting book is like find something specific and tell him why you liked that. So,
Yeah.
hey, I really liked how you used color here. That's really cool. I like how this shoots. I love the way you engineered this little piece here to open and shut. And then it's like, okay, or I can say, you know what might be better? What's another way you might be able to like shoot that from here? What's another sort of part that might make this easier to open and close? So I'm not even telling him, even if I know, you know what? There's this piece and it looks just like this. You should go find that piece and put it right here. That would make this work a lot better. I have that knowledge. I could tell him that, but that takes away from his problem solving and it takes away from the self-esteem when he can actually achieve that. So the same is like for design and any kind of, so we had the opportunity to critique and give feedback on photography and illustration and like small bits of animation and things like that. When you look at it from that angle, when you are the person giving feedback, it's an open door for you to also exercise your own critical eye.
Yeah.
And be able to help people exercise what they do and be better at it. So how effectively are you communicating to the audience based on specific things?
Because the goal is to learn.
Yeah.
Is for the person receiving the feedback. Like, this isn't a personal attack.
Yes.
It's not me saying you're a terrible designer.
Yeah.
It's a chance to learn. And as the person receiving feedback, like, that does feel scary sometimes, but it's a huge opportunity to grow, and don't we all want to grow and be better? So
yeah. And the last thing I will say in regards to that is, when you just ask for the kind of feedback that says, do you like or not like this? That is personal. When you're not talking about like specific aspects of how the work communicates, it does become personal. Like if I were to ask Kenny, do you like my outfit? If he says yes or no, if he says no, but doesn't give me anything more than that, I take it personal because like, well, I put a lot of effort into this outfit and like.
It could just be like he doesn't love a purple shirt.
Yeah, it could be. Or maybe he like wasn't even really paying attention and didn't quite understand the question and thought I was talking about something else. Unless if I go, you know what, what do you think about this blouse with these jeans? How does that feel? Like, does this feel like too dressy? Is this too casual for what we're doing? It's no different than that. And so when we just like throw up our work and say, do you like this? We are opening our self-esteem up for attack, because then it becomes all about us as opposed to, here's the work, here's what I'm trying to achieve. Can you help make sure that I'm actually sending the right message here? And when you approach it that way, then people's feedback feels helpful as opposed to like, well, sorry, jerk, it wasn't for you. Well, I didn't know that. You just asked if I liked it.
Yeah. I think you have to have the right mindset too, especially as someone receiving feedback. And I feel like this is especially true of photographers, and I bet for any creative, like we get like emotionally attached to our work. Like for me, when I look at a picture, it's not just all the technical stuff about it. It's like the relationship that I had with my clients. If they treated me poorly, then even if it's a beautiful photo, I may not have great feelings towards that photo.
Right.
Or I might have really loved the couple and this photo, like, wasn't all that great, but I think it's great because I remember that wonderful time that we had. Or like if it's in a location that I love, or, like we just have so much attachment to it that has nothing to do with the actual art.
Right.
And the technical skills and all of that stuff. So for someone else to look at it, like I try to have someone, like literally just last week, I had someone who knows my target market, knows like what I'm trying to put out there, look through my portfolio and tell me which ones were her favorites, but not just like, oh, I like this one, but I think this one, embodies is gonna like resonate with your target market, embodies what you're trying to show, and here's technically why it's good. And that's just really valuable. And the time before, when I had someone look at my portfolio, I also asked, like, where do you feel like there are holes in this? Like, here are my goals in my business, and like, what is missing from my portfolio that I need to be showing that's gonna like get me towards those goals. And then also just, like, what are some technical mistakes that I'm making more than once? If it's something you see in one photo or in one design or whatever, like, maybe it was just a lapse in your judgment. Yeah. But if you're seeing this multiple times, like, can you tell me that? And I did get feedback like that. And now every time I'm out shooting, I'm like, oh yeah, I got to watch my horizon lines and make sure they don't go through anyone's heads.
Oh man, that's so funny. Yeah. And honestly, like, seeking out places where you can give constructive feedback is going to make your work better. Because then you learn how to look at your own work if by some chance you don't have a chance to show somebody else. Being a critic of other people in a constructive way is going to make you better also. So having the right outlook. Failure is feedback, but also feedback isn't failure. Like, just because you're getting negative feedback, that doesn't, every opportunity for you to grow, you should take. And so, I have to remember that too. I tend to, especially at this stage in my career, be like, I know things. Like, I know things, and you don't have to tell me anything. So I don't actively seek out feedback. And that is someplace where I know I have to grow. And that's something I have been forced into in some ways because I have shifted my focus. So now I'm in sort of a realm where I've not generally been. And so, taking this advice myself is probably where this topic even came up. So hopefully those are some really useful ways that you can harness feedback to level up your game as a designer and help others level up their game too. And Julie and I venture to say, are here for you if you ever need that like extra eye for feedback. Yeah. Just be prepared for us to say, who did you make this for? And like, what's your concept here? Because I have had numerous creatives message me on Instagram and just say, can you give me feedback on this? I don't know. Can I? What do you need from me exactly? Yeah. So we're here for you. We're really excited to be doing this and be able to give you guys some ways to get better at your work. So that is our episode for today. Be sure to check out our Patreon at patreon.com/designspeakspodcast. We can't do this without you. Your support means everything. And as always, you can leave us comments, send us messages on our Instagram at Design Speaks Podcast. Look for past episodes, show notes, transcriptions, all that good stuff at our website, designspeakspodcast.com. And we will see you guys next week.
Wasted for a week when you get what you seek, but the precious will fade in a grim mystique. But